Oh, hi there. The Hawaiian Emperor Seamount chain owes its existence to the movement of the Pacific tectonic plate in a northwesterly direction, over what is known as the Hawaiian hotspot. The hotspot is a region in the northern Pacific Ocean that features the heightened volcanic activity due to a particular hot area of mantle. Repeated eruptions as the plate has drifted over the hotspot has created the chain of islands, atolls, and seamounts. These landforms comprise the Hawaiian chain, and one can determine the age of those landforms by their positioning, the younger landforms being further southeast. This is how we know the Pacific plate is moving to the northwest and the relative age of the landforms. A portion of the chain is still on top of the Hawaiian hotspot, so the region contains both active and extinct volcanoes, making Hawaii a hot geological district.
So as the Pacific plate is dragged along due to standard tectonic forces, a lot of the crust is getting positioned above the Hawaiian hotspot at any one time. And this movement, of course, means that any landmass that was initially created over the Hawaiian hotspot due to the magma cooling from it is eventually moved away. And from that we can kind of infer that the more northwest you go along the Hawaiian chain, the older the land masses are becoming. And on top of that, any volcano that is removed from the source of magma is going to become dormant because its entire supply of magma is cut off completely, and that means that any of the older islands have no way to refresh their landmass, so they're going to be victims of erosion. So when you have dormant volcanoes, you have volcanoes that have no way to sustain their landmass, and that just leaves them to become victims of gradual erosion by water and air. So these older land masses to the northwest eventually reduce and become atolls, which is essentially a volcano that has been whittled down by the elements and being reduced to nothing but an anchor point for small animals and coral, who otherwise wouldn't be able to make a habitat out of this area because the water would be too deep. But the atoll allows them to be somewhat close in proximity to sunlight, which is of course what the primary producers of the ecosystem need. So this is just an example of the way that geological processes have an impact on the biodiversity of an environment.
Coral reefs are an integral part of Hawaii, primarily inhabiting waters less than 300 feet deep. The 410,000 acres of coral reef that surround the archipelago are home to more than 5,000 known species of marine flora and fauna. Fringing reefs form the large percentage of the reefs that surround the main island. These reefs grow seaward directly out from the shore. Fringing reefs over time, due to geological processes, have the ability to form barrier reefs. These are created over extended periods of time. As the island moves off the volcanic hotspot, it begins to sink and erode, causing the reef to grow outward, away from the shore, forming a barrier reef. The only true barrier reefs in the main Hawaiian islands are Kanoa Bay and the north coast of Kauai.
As these complex environments form, they also face many different kinds of pressure. These pressures threaten to throw these ecosystems out of balance and eventually lead to their destruction. The major threats to these coral reefs include overfishing, as boat anchors and fishing nets can damage corals and decrease biodiversity, the addition of dirt and pollutants to the water, and fertilizer runoff, which can cause algal overgrowth and therefore imbalances between species. As well as this, tourism and exploitation of the reef for recreation can lead to disturbances for plant and animal species and the destruction of corals from people stepping on them or damaging them. The geological processes which led to the formation of these coral reefs highlight the complexity of the Earth's physical processes and how geology can have a direct impact on other aspects, such as biology.